You're listening to Guitar Goddess Radio with Ezina, only on LA Talk Radio.
Well, welcome. Today on Guitar Goddess, we have an incredible show for you guys. The title of our show is Working with Reps. Everything you need to know to attract the right team members. And I have some incredible guests here today for you that are just going to show you guys how to get started with building your team if you don't already have one. So in the studio today, we have Miss Belle Bromfield. And Belle is an incredible, talented lady. She started in front of the camera. She started off as a model. She did some acting and film. And now she works behind the camera, starting as an agent, working the running a youth division for an agency, and now with her own company, Bromfield Entertainment. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. And also in the studio today, we have Karla Escobar, who is the founder and creator of Wise Isle Media Group, a multimedia company based in LA that specializes in production, consulting, brand development, public relations, and video and post-production. Welcome, Karla.
Thank you very much. This is great. Great to be here.
I'm so excited to just jump right in and start this show because people are really excited. This is information that the community really needs and wants. So, Belle, I want to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background and what made you decide to go from, high fashion model to actress to agent to manager. Tell us about that.
I know. So I started as a 10-year-old girl in Jamaica wanting to have a career like Halle Berry.
Okay.
So that's where that started. And so when I moved here, I jumped right into modeling, and that started, and it was great. I loved it. And then, of course, I started to do some acting and tour with a play. But, what happened was that there were a lot of women that looked like me that didn't have the information that I had. Because while I was out there trying to find an agent, trying to find a manager, I was also researching. And I had like stacks of research that I had built and information. And I remember going to a lot of casting calls for like agent reps, and they're like, no, you're not the right fit. And so I would, instead of like sulking or being upset, I would say, do you have any recommendations? What would be a better fit for me? Who would be a better fit? And so they would start naming all these agencies, and I was just like, oh, that sounds okay. Let me find out who that is and where they are. So I had this stack of research. So I remember coming home off tour with the play that I was touring with, and I ran into a young lady, and she says, we haven't seen you doing the whole black market modeling thing, black circuit thing. Where have you been? And so I was just sharing with her, and she's like, how have you done that? We've all been stuck doing the same thing. How were you able to like branch out and find an agent? And so I was just like, wow, this is cool. I found myself wanting to help and wanting to serve, and having a degree in psychology. I think that inside of me, just service and serving is how that all started, in wanting to not only like with the research that I had built up, really delving into that and now exploring it, but also being able to like serve and really help people. So I think that if I didn't find my mark here in entertainment on this side, I probably would just be a licensed therapist still serving people.
Wow.
So it's just embedded in me to do that, to just help.
Oh, that's really beautiful. I love that. And you're the type of person that we need as artists. You have the psychology, so you understand dealing with the temperament of creatives.
Right.
And you're also a creative.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I love it. And so, Karla, tell us, you've done some pretty incredible things as well, working with Entertainment Tonight for over 5 years, interviewing and producing segments with Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, and all these people. Tell us how did you go from Entertainment Tonight to Wise Isle Media Group?
Well, it's interesting because I wanted to be a producer since I was a kid. Okay. So it was something that I knew from watching Romeo and Juliet with Baz Luhrmann way too many times. And I knew I wanted to get into it. So after I graduated from college, I went straight to Paramount and started working international marketing there. But I knew from my roots in college that I wanted to still do production. So once I started working at Entertainment Tonight, it was very quick for me to realize that being a production assistant was not what I wanted to do. So I really just made the contacts, did a lot of research, connected with people at my office, and got to the point where I was supervising and coordinating as one of the heads of the music department. That's how I got to do all those amazing things. But what I noticed is that I was kind of in a creative bubble. And I found myself asking a lot of the questions to the celebrities and wanting to sort of help them develop skills and find other opportunities and really help them find the path to get to the media side, because I had seen so much of that side that I knew I could give advice and can give sort of a guide to people in that way. So I was a little bit miserable and quit my job, which a lot of people tend to do, right? Yes. It was a huge risk, but it was the best thing I'd ever done because it allowed me to break out of that bubble and truly start working my purpose. And so with Bromfield Entertainment we started working a lot of management together and really developing those skills. And within that, I also do video and post-production, which just comes from my roots as a producer. So I really wanted to have a place where I could either be a middle person for people to find resources or to actually be that catalyst to help them find their vision. And that's how I came up with Wise Owl.
Wow, that's really awesome. Now, you see, guys, I like bring you the power players. Like, what? And women, too. And you know I'm all about, like, female power. So we got a lot of female power in the room here today. Now, I want to ask you, you both work with artists, and you work with them in many different capacities. When you're looking for an artist to work with, what are some of those things that you are looking for? A lot of the girls that I talk to, if you listen to our show, they're kind of lone rangers, and they're looking to build a team, and they don't know like what the questions are to ask or where to even go. So when you're looking to work with someone, what are some of the key things that you're looking for in an artist? Let's start with you, Belle.
So mine may be a little different.
Okay.
Only because, I've heard this a lot of times that I have like very good taste in being able to have an eye for talent and in being able to really have an eye for like what's a good project, right? Yeah. So mine is usually like what captures my eye. Right away, it's just like there's something about that, the essence of that person that just speaks to my soul. It speaks to, they have something about them that is so different and unique. And most times it's just by looking at them. And I think it has to do with maybe just being a spiritual person. And so being able to see beyond what's on the outside and really connecting to the spirit and the essence of the person. And sometimes I'm never wrong. Usually by the time I sit down and talk to them 5 minutes, I'm like, yes, you're great, you're incredible. Yes, I'm happy I stopped, you know? Yeah. So and then from there, of course, when you're getting to the gritty of it and just making sure that their vision, I'm able to match it and being able to even level it up. So I can see their vision, I understand it, I can match their vision, and then I can envision myself bringing it up to different levels. And that is what makes me sign, seal, and deliver it. Okay. Because I have seen people that caught my eye, but I wasn't able to do anything with their vision. I didn't quite understand it. I know that I wasn't the right fit. So all I could do was tell them, you're going to be great. I am not the person, but you have to do what you need to do.
I'm so happy that you just said that, because it feels like rejection when someone says I'm not the right fit.
Right.
And, a lot of girls, in our community, like they let that stop them from going forward and looking for the right representative. And I love that you just said, it just wasn't a right fit for me. It's not that they weren't incredible. It's just that they weren't the right fit.
Yes.
So I think that's really cool that you said that, and very helpful, I think, to the community, because it's not always going to work out with everybody that you meet, that it's going to be like they love you and want to work with you. You really just have to keep searching till you find that perfect fit. So, Karla, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you have to research, because a lot of people, you can do DIY in your career for a really long time. But when you're building a team, you might say, oh, I want a Scooter Braun. But is a music manager what you're looking for? Are you looking for someone to be more of a career coach? It's like you need so many different assets to build a team. So I think part of what I look for is definitely a strong self-image, which is a lot of what Belle was just talking about, because you need to know where you are. Because as managers, we're not necessarily here to put your vision in your mind. You need to have some sort of foundation of what you want to do and an expansive sort of long-term and short-term goals. And with that, it allows us to have a starting point, because I think that that's what creates the relationship between the manager and the talent, is having that communication and being able to build on that, and not necessarily thinking that the manager is going to know everything, and they might not have all the right contacts, and that's why they might not be always a great fit. And I think one thing that I really look for, and I know I stress this to Belle all the time because I've had bad experiences, is work ethic.
Okay. Yes.
The people I'm working with right now have so much amazing work ethic and also know how to do things on their own and how to expand on their own business. They are the CEOs of their career, and I'm here to advise and guide and build on that. It's not necessarily to to hinder people, but you need to definitely have some foundation and a strong self-image of who you are if you really want to work with managers and representatives. But you also need to have the work ethic, because you might be able to dream something big, but if you don't take action, it's not really going to help the managers and reps take your vision to the next level.
And if I can just piggyback on the work ethic,
yes.
It's so important that it is strong for the artist, because then it helps the rep, whether it's an agent, whether it's a manager or a PR person, to go really hard for somebody that's working hard for themselves. And I will say that again, the rep will go extremely hard, intensely, intentionally, strategically for the person that has that strong work ethic and is doing it for themselves.
And when you say work ethic, like what are you meaning exactly? Like having a strong social media presence, being a master at their instrument or their artistry, or is great at marketing? Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for being a great person in all that area? Because I know as an artist, and I know the ladies out there are going, oh my God, I know as an artist,
right.
like you're never like perfect at everything. Like you're good at your instrument, and you may be good at social media, or you may be good at marketing, but you're never good at all of it because you're an artist first. So when you talk about work ethic, can you give us some specifics of what you're looking for when you say that?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to start?
Whoever.
Well, I feel that part of the work ethic is when you absolutely love what you do. It's from showing up on time to how you have your attitude with people who are working around you, to dedication when you know, oh my God, I'm working 12 hours right now, and you still have to stay in the studio and get that 1 hour in, staying there and putting in your all, because we're doing the same. And so we just hope that the client is also feeling that empowered about their own work. So work ethic to me is hitting the pavement and connecting with people and moving your career forth, and doing it in a way you can't be a jack of all trades. It's just, and I say this on my own platform all the time. I am not a cinematographer. I am not the best editor in the world, but I know people's crafts in order to help them find their vision. If I know that this person is looking for something specific, and I connect them with that person, it's going to make their vision that much stronger. So work ethic, I think, comes from showing the person that you have a lot of passion, a lot of movement in what you're doing, and that whether or not you're in the picture, they're still going to keep going. And work ethic comes deep rooted. It's about passion. It's about just working really hard for yourself and not necessarily just for everyone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think for me, work ethic would be showing up. It's definitely showing up. It's being on time for sure, and that's a part of showing up. But there are times when we get up in the mornings where we don't always feel like showing up. But if you have that strong sense of work ethic, you're going to show up no matter what's going on. Another thing is communication. And for me, I'm not going to knock anybody for not having a strong social media presence. Social media it's a new wave that we've all just we're adapting to. We're still learning. We're still figuring it out. Some people have figured it out just because they have a very high visibility visibility already status, so it just automatically they have 50.6 million followers. That is not going to be expected for somebody that's just starting out or building a career or in the middle of it. Does that make sense? So I am realistic with that. I'm not going to sign someone based on their social media if they have a lot, or not sign them because they don't. If we're specifically working on something like getting brand or brand deals and where that's important, then yes, I'm going to say let's focus there. Let's drive it. Let's do everything that we can to build it to get the numbers up, right? So when it's important, we focus on it. But it's not something that I say, every day, please make sure you're posting. And, if you have a job, if you booked a job where you need to post and you're not posting, then that becomes an issue. Because
social media right now can open so many doors to work with brands and sponsors and things like that. So, but you don't have to be the pro at it. You're going to learn, you're going to adapt. It's something that is growing. But what I look for is definitely more about that personality and work ethic, because that's what's going to create that relationship. Because me and Belle always say that a manager and a talent is almost like a marriage.
It is.
You need to have, I'm going to say this strongly, extreme trust. It's not just trust. It's extreme trust. This person is going to have access to areas that agents don't. Managers are really embedded in all areas of your career. So you need to be able to trust them and have that communication, because there are going to be moments where you have to be extremely honest, and transparency should always be there because of that.
Yes, and so that goes back to communication. When there's trust and you openly communicate, and you can say, if you're running late to an audition, I am not going to be mad that you're running late if you're running late or you didn't show up or didn't let me know so I can help you. When you communicate, our job, the reason why you communicate with us, and we stress that, is that we can always help you, right? We're not going to say, you're late, don't go. We're going to say, we're going to call casting, we're going to get you more time.
Yeah.
We are going to save you. That's our job. Our job is to save our talent. Our job is to help our talent. Our job is to put them in the best position always and make sure that they always look good, even when we know that they've just messed up and it's just been a mess over here. Like, we don't let people see the scrambled egg. We let everybody see the beautiful omelet that's on the table.
With a nice avocado on top.
Yes, with a nice avocado on top. That's our job. Yes.
That's so funny. I love that. And it's so true. As artists, I think, I remember starting out before I had my first managers and agents, and it was scary. It was this kind of relationship where I was like, they were kind of like I felt like the manager and agent was kind of like the principal, and I was kind of like the kid in school, trying to make sure I did all the right things. And, it's interesting, as I'm talking to some of the younger girls that are coming up, they still have that idea, that the managers and the agents and the publicists and all these people are their bosses, instead of working in tandem as a team and looking at it as a team effort.
Love that you're bringing this up, because honestly, the thing about it is that what I mentioned earlier, you're the CEO of your career.
Yes.
You're hiring these people. So if you're in any way scared or hindered in some way with working with this person, trust your gut, especially women's intuition. Absolutely. It is real. Women's intuition is real. And for all us all the guitar goddesses out there who are scared about approaching the situation of looking for a rep, know that their personality and the communication has a lot to do with it too. Experience is valuable, but you have to ask the questions. You have to make sure that you feel comfortable with this person, because then you do become vulnerable to let the manager go above you and above the intentions of your band or your group or your acting career. And you don't want to do that, because you're hiring us to help you. It's not the other way around. So the moment that the manager starts putting their intentions above yours and not really working for the favor of the artist, I think that it starts becoming a little bit bad and just hazy.
Well, then it becomes more of, is it their career or your career? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I experienced that a lot as a talent as well when I was a talent.
Yeah.
Like, they had their own vision and they were moving way faster than I was, and they wanted me to be over here and do this, and they wanted me to post nude, and I'm like, I just started. I don't even know about this whole nude thing. Give me a minute, They're like, your body's beautiful and it's great and we want to see it. And I'm like, no. Right. I don't do nudes. Can we just slow down? And then they got mad. And I'm like, wait, whose career is it? So absolutely. I think communication also helps too, because then it's like the common mistake a lot of talent make is that they, when they don't communicate effectively with their agents or their manager, or they have this scared, I can't say something, the agent doesn't know what you're thinking. The agent doesn't know, or the manager or the rep doesn't always know what is it that you want, And especially with a manager and a publicist, is that we're here to cultivate and give you what is it that you want. So when you don't communicate, we don't know. I was recently sitting in a meeting and somebody found out that I was a manager. He says, my girlfriend is having problems with her manager. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's the problem? And so he said, well, he doesn't send her out on theatrical auditions. And so I say, well, does he know that she wants to do that? No, she hasn't told him. And I'm like, has she had a meeting? She hasn't had a meeting. She hasn't picked up the phone and called. How would the manager know? Even if you did have an initial meeting, in your initial meeting you did convey that, it is still important to keep that open communication, to just follow up. Hey, can we take a meeting? Remember, I need reminders sometimes. I am human. Yeah. So I love when my clients were like, hey, remember that I still want to be the next Thor. I'm like, yes. Almost slipped my mind because we're working on you being something else, but yes. I'm looking out for that for you, and it's totally fine. Yeah. So
I appreciate that too when my clients do.
I absolutely appreciate it. We work as a team. No man's an island, and it's just great.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because I had a rep tell me once that if I wanted something, I needed to be a squeaky wheel. And I just want to know your concept on that. Like, how can you, communicate without being annoying?
That's a very good point. That's a very good question. So you said it once on Monday morning. Please don't tell me on Tuesday or Wednesday. So if you said it and I say, okay, give me until the end of the day, give me until the end of the month, then yes, please follow up with me when I gave you a timeline, and please follow up. But constant reminders every day, especially with agents. Mm-hmm. Agents are very, very, I used to be an agent. And I think they're the ones that are mostly feared by talent. We don't want to bug them, and they're the ones that they kind of see as the little god, you know what I mean? Yeah. They're the ones that they're scared to call and have the meeting. And please believe, they love when you show up with a meeting with just a basket of something that they love, whether it's fruits or candy or something. So as long as you show up with something in your hand, you'll be fine. They'll take your meeting, they'll make time. So just a little tip.
I think definitely avoiding the annoyances, having time frames, making sure that you communicate through those things. And sometimes goals aren't going to be reached right away, but that's why you have to have the communication, the transparency. And the thing is that we as managers and reps and business owners, we understand that things sometimes don't move as fast as other people want them to, but don't be scared about those things. Remember that patience is something that is amazingly a virtue for a reason. It's something that really helps us to really develop, because what people don't realize is that sometimes when you come to us and we sign you, there's a lot of development that needs to come into play. There's a lot of building blocks. And so we need the reminders and we need to keep the communication, but make sure that you have short and long-term goals. That will actually kind of avoid asking about everything or trying to be on top of them. Just don't micromanage. Mm-hmm. Trust. That comes from the trust. And I've noticed a lot with my recent clients that there's a lot of trust in between, but we also just communicate, whether it's having calendars, having email exchanges and text messages. We organize ourselves. So organize yourself, and it'll kind of avoid a little bit of that anxiety and things that might cause those frustrations to want you to pick up that phone constantly. And don't be intimidated to let your manager or your agents know when you might not be feeling right about the way things are going, because they will be able to sort of shift it and make sure that you're still on track.
And I also want to say that if you have an agent, you have a manager, the manager is always the middle person to communicate between you and the agent. So if you have this, I'm not sure if I want to talk to my agent, that's the manager's job. You let the manager know. The manager, again, it's like a relationship with a marriage, but that's your friend, that's your partner, that's the person that really goes hard for you. And so that's their job to say, dear agent, this is what my client is thinking, this is what we like. So utilize your manager in those areas as well. It's no point in having two people that you can't absolutely speak with. Or
because your agent isn't going to be you're not going to lean over and cry on your agent's shoulder about everything. Your manager's there to help you with those big career decisions, but the agents are the major catalyst that is going to renegotiate, negotiate, and do some major contracts. But the manager is there representing the artist or the client, for their best intentions. So there is a difference as to their roles. And so when you are looking for an agent or a manager, I think it's important to know those differences. And if you don't, you might not be ready to kind of venture into that. You need to do more research and really dive deep onto what you're looking for. And then it'll help you understand when to communicate with certain people about certain things and really create a good flow of communication.
That's wonderful. And the next question I have for you is, what are some of the questions that an artist or a creative should ask when they're meeting with potential managers and agents?
I really want to jump in on this because I was like, honestly, because here's the thing, guys. Again, you're the CEO of your career, and I'm going to keep saying that because honestly, you know yourself better than anyone. So don't be afraid to ask the hard questions to someone who you're going to let into every area of your business. How much commission are they expecting? What can they do in a certain time frame? And what can you guys work in between there? Because time frames, like I said, short-term, long-term goals. Making sure you can even see things like sample contracts, their resume. Don't be afraid to ask these things, because just like you would hire someone at a restaurant to be a manager, that's the same thing you're going to do with your manager for your career. You need to definitely see that there's transparency there and just be honest about your questions. And don't ask questions like, are you going to make me Oprah? Like, those are realistic questions.
Can you get me signed?
Yeah.
More Can you get me a publishing deal?
More like, what's your vision? How are you going to get me there? Do you know my audience? Yeah. After we talk, do you actually understand where I'm trying to get at? So just don't be afraid to ask the hard-hitting questions, because sometimes what I've noticed from some people, luckily this has never happened to me, but I've seen some talent sometimes sign with managers, and then it's like after the fact, they realize the fine print. And I'm like, did you not even ask for a sample contract before? Yeah. Did you not even know what this company was all about? So just don't be afraid to ask those questions, because this is your career. And the moment you kind of become vulnerable to that, it's the moment those snakes kind of go in and try to manipulate your situation. And you just need to stay strong and know that your opinion and what you want matters.
Absolutely. I mean, this just happened to me this week, actually. And so outside of my clients that I have on my roster that I take care of and service very well, I hope they can say yes to that.
I'm sure yes. They can. Amen.
I do have the privilege of consulting with talent that doesn't necessarily have representation, is seeking representation, and will come to me and say, hey, can you look at this contract and can you go over it with me to make sure before I sign? And again, I love helping people. You do not have to be on my roster for me to help you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Absolutely. You do not have to be on my roster for me to help you. I do not want to, I hate seeing talent being taken advantage of and being disserviced. And so that's one of the reasons why I stay in this business, for sure. And anyway, so I looked at this contract and I just began to red market. It was just like, no, basically all the way through. They wanted all of her money even before she began.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was so grateful. The talent was so grateful that I stopped to take the time, And so it's just important, again, just to ask all the right questions. How long have you been doing this? The track record, you want to manage me as a actor. Do you have access to LA casting? That's why it's important for the talent to do their research so that they understand the business, because if they do not do their own research and go into meetings, they don't know what to ask. Right. So do you have access to LA casting, to Actors Access? What agencies have you worked with in the past, and just different things like that. And so for agents, one of the main questions I always tell artists to ask agents is, do you have anyone that looks like me? No talent, no agent should have anyone in their roster, no more than 5 of the same. And so, because you don't want, it's competitive out there, so you don't want it to be competitive within.
That's really good.
So what's unique about me, even if you do have another Latina girl, what's the age range? What's different about me than her? What roles do you see me playing? Different things like that. Because even if you see yourself playing a mom, you still want to understand what the agent sees, because they may see something else that you weren't aware of.
Yeah,
so that's important.
Constructive criticism is going to come a lot, and you have to be very open to that. And then, going back to like kind of what questions to ask, it's also what to look for. Are you looking for a boutique? management or agency? Are you looking for bi-coastal because you're traveling from LA to New York consistently? Are you looking for corporate because you've kind of done the, smaller boutiques and now you're ready to kind of expand? You definitely need to know what you're looking for. And as far as how do I know what I'm looking for? Well, write down what you want and research it and truly develop from there. But that's something that I think is also important, because you might want a CAA and you're just starting your business. There's a lot of building blocks to get there. You can get there. There's nothing that I'm saying that you are going to get there, but you're going to get there through the building blocks and maybe starting a little bit smaller, because there's tons of people who DIY this for years before they even start building a team. So definitely consider that. What kind of size agency am I looking for? And ask them those questions.
Yeah, because there are different levels, and in doing your research, you'll find out that you can't start and just get to a CAA unless somebody's walking you in, literally, and that happens, Yeah. So for me, I never just box people in either.
Yeah.
I say, look, you can't just walk into a CAA when you're starting unless somebody's walking you in. And if that triggers a button that somebody can walk them in, then great.
Yeah.
So I always give the little thing that may not be in front of them, that they may be able to use to catapult. Because we may say you're just starting, but somebody may be able to walk them in and just launch their career right away. You never know. This business is like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's the exciting part, I think, about the business, is you just don't know. Like you're out there in DIY land, and all of a sudden someone plucks you out of, busking on the streets, and you get a record deal, and then, you're the next big thing. So, the industry is quite fascinating to me.
It is fascinating that way. It really is fascinating.
There's so many layers.
And even in the day-to-day, and even in, we're saying, do this way, do that way, you keep it open for those moments.
Yes.
For the fascinating moments, for the moments that we didn't see coming, for the, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's, for me, is also exciting, and what keeps me here. It's that little moment, that magic.
I love it. What does your day look like? Tell us, it's interesting as artists, because I think some of us have this weird idea of what managers and agents do during the day. I was talking with the guitarist last week, and she was like, I haven't talked to my manager this week. I think she's probably at the spa for the week. And it's just really funny. It's just funny. So break it down. Break down what your days look like for people. And I know no 2 days are the same.
Yeah,
that entertainment, as we all know.
Yeah.
But give us an idea of what a day would be like.
Well, I start my day really early, because this was a habit I learned from working in a network for so long and working for news. Is I'm usually doing calls pretty early. I do a lot of research too throughout the day, and what I mean by that is my clients are constantly shifting and doing different things with their career. So I like to take my time to actually embed myself at least 1 hour a day to really look into what's moving, what's happening, because there's always going to be changes. And the thing is, you might have, as on the manager side, you might have an artist that has so many things going on. So it's kind of bringing in and kind of creating those goals for yourself. So I do that a lot. I write notes down all day, every day, and I'm on the phone a lot. So the day-to-day is a lot of phone calls and a lot of networking and a lot of communication, because most of the time I find myself at events at night trying to network. And that's it. Like I said, every day is very different, but a lot of what I try and do is spend my time communicating with people, because I want to advance my client's brand. So whether it's communicating with venues for possible touring, which is huge visibility, or looking for brands and sponsor opportunities, it's constantly just being on the phone, doing my research, and making sure I'm staying on the path and the goals of the client. But then, of course, also getting out there. As the manager, you have to make face. That's how you're going to make connections with producers, with other agents, with other clients. So I like to get out there every week, at least to 3 events or so that maybe aren't directly for my client, so that I can network. But it's kind of different every day.
It does vary. I've done the traditional in the office as an agent, so got there for 10, left at 6. And probably as an agent, we sit at our desk and we submit and, take the calls and do the negotiations. I'd always like to go out for lunch when I worked in that setting, just to get away from the office. Mm-hmm. In having my own business, I was in a traditional office and then transitioned into working from home. anywhere at this point is my office. Whether I'm on a plane, whether I'm at the nail shop, whether I'm at the spa, it becomes my office. I was recently at the nail salon, and when I looked up, I literally had my phones out, I had paperwork, I had a pen.
I love it.
Because I run a business, and nothing stops that. Nothing stops that. I need to be able to. That's just how I work. Yeah. Nothing stops that. If my client needs me, if somebody needs me for my client, casting directors maybe calling for an audition, I don't wait. I can't wait 2 hours to get back to anyone. Right. That is time that this business moves fast. We play the waiting game, but when they're ready as well. Yeah. So we wait, or they'll say hurry up, and then we wait, or we'll wait, and then it's hurry up. So that's another part of the fascination, but. So for me, it's just about, I used to have clients in New York, and so I used to be up at 6 pitching, because by that 6 o'clock it's 9 there, and they've started.
Yeah, you're already late to the game if you're
already
like
late
calling
to the game
New
if
York
I start
at
9 here. Yeah. Exactly. So I did that for a while.
Okay.
So basically the pitching, the emails, the phone calls, and the following up. I mean, just as much as you have, the talent needs to have good work ethic, we do too. We it doesn't stop. I've had casting directors email me at 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh,
wanting to book my talent, and I had to get up.
That's awesome.
Just to take the call and to let them know that, okay, great, can we finish this in the morning? Right. At 9 when it's sun and bright. And they're like, sure, we just wanted to make sure they're available.
Right. But it's always going to be kind of like that,
Yes, they are available.
Moments are going to come out of nowhere sometimes.
Moments come out of nowhere. You just have to be ready. But that's kind of the day-to-day meetings outside of the office, a lot of meetings. And so, like Karla said, networking and making face is important as well. We have to build our relationships. I was recently at this, it's Simply Wholesome, where getting some green juice for my sister, and I saw Deborah Langford, and I hadn't seen her in a while. We did a panel together a few years ago, and I hadn't seen her in a while. And I was just like, I ran her down, just to reconnect.
Yes.
I wasn't not going to let that moment pass.
I love that.
And so it's the same for artists. Don't let the moments pass. And we have to do the same. Don't let the moments pass, no matter what.
I love that, and it's really exciting to hear, that you're working just as hard as the artist is working. Because I think we have these delusional ideas that, a manager just kicks back and their Rolodex is set and, they can just push these buttons and make things happen in your career. And that's really not how it works. You work just as hard as the artist to help the artist to build and to get where the artist wants to go. So I think it's really refreshing to hear that, from two ladies who are making things happen. And I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about, how do artists ruin relationships with managers?
Oh my God. How long do we have? No, I think it goes hand in hand.
I'm gonna let Karla start, and then I'm just gonna I'll just put the sauce on.
Oh gosh.
All right, got it.
Okay. Well,
I'll be the sauce.
Well, I let go one client one time because I called her unmanageable. And what I meant by that was kind of rude. I'm sorry. No, but what I meant by that was there was this huge lack of trust. When it becomes to the point where they're calling, other contacts like crazy, maybe looking, for other managers. For me, you can leave and go to another manager and step up your career, and that's always something that happens in the industry. But I think that lack of trust is something that's huge because it makes you do certain things that are inappropriate, I think. And that's actually my second thing is inappropriate behavior. People, if you're someone who is showing the people we're connecting you with attitude, if you're someone who shows up looking like a bum and only makes bad impressions, you won't be on my roster for very long. I think it's important to know who you are and where you are when you're building a team. So if you're going to work with a manager, you better be prepared for constructive criticism, be open for transparency and a relationship that's going to be very deep-seated on career decisions and big moments. So I think for me, inappropriate behavior, kind of what I was mentioning this morning on my live thing, punching reporters and things like that, those aren't going to be things that are really going to fly because what you do especially in front of press and things like that, could be a ripple effect. And so, our careers are to build you up, but the moment you start doing things to break you down and there's nothing really we can do, I step out, because I'm just one of those people who wants to be just very honest and transparent and not deal with, there's going to be drama, there's going to be moments that are going to be difficult, but I like things to coast in a way that are very open and great energy. So those two things, I think, are very bad.
I know, I am long suffering to a default. And I think it has to do with just, again, my spiritual background and coming from a family that's just, my grandma is a pastor.
Oh.
So a lot of people don't know that about me. And my mom is an evangelist. So I'm surrounded by women that are long suffering, that love the Lord, and that is really patient with people, especially my grandma is a pastor, serving people in that capacity. And I'm like, sometimes I shake my head because I'm like, Grandma, what did you do to me? This long suffering thing that I have, it's your fault, right? But I've dropped clients for cursing at me.
Okay.
I don't drop clients if they're upset and get in a moment. But the minute you start using foul language at me, because I would never do that to you, I am letting you go. It's very disrespectful. So I've dropped clients just straight out. Like there was no question. There was no moments for, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it. It was an automatic drop. It's an automatic drop. Yeah, it's an automatic drop. And again, as Karla mentioned, just a breakdown in communication. If there's a breakdown in communication where no matter what, there's the lack of trust, the trust is gone. In any relationship, if there is no trust, then it's broken and it's not going to be able to fix, and that's it. But I tend to be long suffering, and that's why my clientele is very small as well. It's because I've done as an agent, almost 200 clients. As a manager, I've done the 20, 40 clients. I've done the one talent as well, just nobody but that one person. I tried that. And now it's just where it is, very, very small at 10. And I love it like that because, again, I can just service, we can communicate, and I can build, because it's not just one-sided.
Right,
I'm not expecting the talent only to be able to communicate and to do all the work either. So we have to have time to be able to do that with our talent and to not feel like overwhelmed, like I didn't get to this person. Sometimes I'm focused on one talent depending on what's going on for that entire week. I may not be able to talk to everyone, but sometimes I'm servicing, because of what's going on, 3-4 people at the same time. So it's just constant, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so we're human as well. I talk to a lot of agents and they'll say, Belle, this person's been with me and they left. Once they thought that their career is taking off to another, they left, and that breaks their heart. That breaks our hearts. We're human beings, and
we understand it, but it's
and I think sometimes people forget that. They tend to just forget that we also have feelings, and we also, so. But there's just certain things. Cursing at me is a no-no. If you're continuously missing auditions and. That's grounds for this is not what you want, and I think it's just best that you take some time to figure things out.
I think you should be able to be open to taking advice and being, and doing it in a professional way. And I think some people sometimes use their reactions to respond to things. And I think that rude behavior is just uncalled for. And
if for me, if there's something that, if I'm with a client and I see that I'm not able to, as I thought that I could do, fast track or move their career, I have to make that realistic and come to that real moment with myself and the talent. And that's not a harsh drop. That's a very sensitive, delicate drop. That's this isn't working. I tried everything, but maybe it's best that. And I've done that, and I've run into them, and they're doing really well with someone else, and I'm excited and happy for them. And so there's those realities as well. And I think that I can't have any egos. As reps, we have to make sure that we don't have the ego as well, and that we're realistic and that we're transparent and authentic in our journey with our talent as well.
Wow, that's great. I want to talk about last night. My next question was about handling conflict. How can artists best handle conflict without ruining their reputation? And last night you had an incident, so I want to talk to you about that. And if that person was your client,
heck no,
like
no.
I said how, if they were your client, how?
Wait, I missed it. What happened?
Oh my God. Okay. Someone wasn't on Instagram Live this morning. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm never on there. Sorry. I'm trying to get better at this whole social. I had a social media team, and then but I try to get better myself.
You're getting better. You're getting better.
Yeah.
No. So just really briefly last night, I won't even mention the event or anything. No. If you go on my Instagram, you can figure it out yourself. But yeah, I was at an event, and we were, I was waiting for my talent to arrive because we were just consulting through the event. I was doing some talent consulting, and this reporter asked a question to one of the talents, and I was not there enough to actually hear the question, but the talent went for the reporter, straight up slapped them, almost punched them in the face, and he almost lost his kilter and fell on all the camera equipment. And the first reaction for me was, that person needs media training. Because the thing is, when they're going to be, it's horrible, because honestly, the way that I see this is, yes, the reporter might have asked something inappropriate and rude, but that reaction was more powerful than whatever question was asked. Because now all those reporters that were there, all the press that was there, even the PR company that allowed you to walk the carpet is now going to very much question that the next time around, even if you weren't at fault. I think there are a lot of situations where we've seen celebrities get sprayed in the face with water or get, like blood thrown on them because they're wearing fur, whatever it may be. But the reaction is so much more important than any sort of other response. If you're ever physical or emotionally rude, people are going to remember that. We all know, I don't even have to mention, but we know so many celebrity scandals that have started just from someone not being able to control their temper. So some tips that I would say in those situations is, first of all, if you guys don't know what media training is, it's basically helping artists and actors and business reps understand how to communicate with media, whether you're the host or the talent. So what I would recommend to people in that situation is respond with professionalism, and it's okay to say no. Don't say things like no comment and walk away, but say things like, I don't feel comfortable answering that question. And then if you want, say, have a great night and walk away. The thing is that's just so much more powerful, because the audience that is watching that reporter's feed or their report the next day on the show, that audience is who's watching that. So it's not just the reporter that you're reacting to, it's all of the audience that's watching. So by approaching it in that way, they'll see you as more admirable and as the person who actually made the more proper decision in that. So as I was mentioning in that was, to be responsive, not reactive, and just make sure that you know that these things are going to happen, and this is going to happen forever when you're in this industry. If you think that you're not going to do interviews or do press until you're Rihanna, you will continue to do press, and even she still continues to do press. But it's just so important that you know that you're going to have confrontations, you're going to have to deal with the media, rude fans, if you call them fans, but just you're going to deal with a lot of confrontation. But you need to know how to be temporal with that and not be too abrasive. And just by learning how to say no or walk away in a way that's just like, I don't feel comfortable, is way more powerful than at all reacting with emotional or physical anger.
I tend to gravitate to, and that was really good. That was horrible, by the way. Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, I was very shocked. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But no, I felt like we had to talk about it. And the reason I felt it was so important to talk about it is because when you're an artist, I've toured all over the world, and there are sometimes you're not sleeping for days at a time.
Right.
And you're short, you're hungry, but yet the show has to go on.
Yes.
And yet someone, wants to interview you in a moment of weakness when you just really need like a 5-minute power nap, or you just need a glass of water or tea or whatever. And, how do you respond in those situations? Because the press doesn't always think about that.
No, they don't.
And they don't even know
They
that
don't
you
know.
haven't slept, that, your flight was laid over,
That's
and you
true.
had to transfer all these planes, and your gear was lost.
And
you're
all
trying
they're
to
seeing is you with a beautiful gown on a carpet, and not seeing all the process that went into that
exactly.
work.
Everything that just happened. And then they catch you off guard, and then you do something really awful.
So, listen, we're all human. We're all gonna make bad decisions sometimes, but when it comes to something so public, just as much as you can, just take that second. Even if you don't respond right away to the question, you just kind of sit there for a second and then respond. Just do your best to keep your composure, because in the end, as I mentioned, it's not just the reporter, it's everyone else that's watching. And that could be a young fan. It could be your family. It could be so many people. And so it's just more about your own personal responsibility to know that people have their bad days. But also, if you feel like that, communicate with your agent and manager and your publicist or whoever's part of your team, so that they can kind of guide you through. So if they know, oh my God, they're really exhausted, and you have about to do 15 interviews, let them know that you just don't feel comfortable doing 15 interviews, and do 5 and then move on, because that might actually keep your composure longer, because instead of the frustrations building after interview. So just make sure to communicate. Those are things that will help us. That's why we're here, is to help guide you through those moments when you feel like you're going to fall apart.
So in moments that you can communicate, you should. In moments that you have the time to do that, but you don't all. That's not always the case.
Right.
And as an artist, I have a deep-seated compassion for artists, because I was an artist and I understand it as well. It's a lot of pressure. My hat is always off to artists, no matter what. Is that it's not easy being an artist. It's really, really tough. Like the pressure, the expectations,
touring for
just
months.
On some of them unrealistic expectations that people just don't understand. So I really respect my talent when I go on their social media, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and I see that they stay away from commenting or talking about a lot of things. They're able to just see it and not respond. When I look at their thing, they're just into what they're into. And it's just, and I'm like, yes, yes, we have freedom of speech here, but the time has changed. It has changed where you can't say anything anymore, and so
sometimes you don't even need to.
And you don't need to. And I love the fact when I have talent, we've seen talent that had to respond to everything. They were constantly in Twitter fights.
Wow.
And there's a reason why their numbers didn't build.
Yeah.
Why they didn't
There's a
engage
reason why
well.
we no longer work with them. But yes, so it's just like, you don't always have to respond to everything. You don't have to have, even if you have your own opinion, keep it to yourself. Some opinions just keep to yourself. And so my client, I have to say, they're really good at that. And I love that.
Yeah, don't post anything that you wouldn't show your mom. Honestly, just be careful what you post when you're an artist, because you have huge influence. So just be careful what you post and how you communicate your stuff. You don't have to respond to every hater. There's going to be haters, but if you respond to all of that, you're just going to bring that energy into the picture. So keep your team happy by communicating through those problems and just letting that sit the way it is. Constructive criticism, whether it's harsh or not harsh, is always good to kind of have. It keeps you that driving force.
I think when people respond to their haters, they give more power to the word than to even the people.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Well, ladies, this has been such an incredible show, and I just know that everyone in the community is so grateful that you came here today and you were so open and honest about everything, because we have girls in our community that are just starting out that are 12 years old. I have a couple even younger. I have a 9-year-old. I mostly communicate with her mom. Aww. But, we have a big community that starts from the really young and goes, beyond. And so this is such wonderful information. And I thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come down and to share with us, how you can better work with reps. And I'm sure this isn't the last conversation we'll have, because I can already hear a part 2, happening. But before we go, can you just tell everyone how they can get in touch with you? And let's just start with you. How can people get in touch with you if they would like to know more or follow you or what have you?
Sure. So on Twitter, it's at Bromfield ENT. And then on Instagram, it's at Bromfield Entertainment, all spelled out. And my website is doing something funky right now, but it's www.bromfieldent.com. It's up. It's just like all my Instagram postings, and it's just this funky thing that
I
I'm
like
trying.
it. I like it. I went to it. I was like, it was interesting because I went to your website and I was like, oh, this is cool. I want this for my site. Like, I didn't know that was not the way it's
we can
supposed
get
to
it on
be.
your site.
I
Yep,
noticed
I'll
that
have
the
it
other
done.
day, and I like that too.
Yeah, sure. You can have it done too.
Yeah, I love it. I thought it was beautiful. So Bromfield Entertainment.
So Bromfield ENT on Twitter.
Okay.
And I'm very active there, and on Instagram, I'm doing more there. And we do have a Facebook page. I think it's Bromfield Entertainment as well. And info at bromfieldent.com. I always welcome if people have questions. And I was recently at my favorite bar, coffee bar, Nespresso in Beverly Hills, and the waitress reminded me of Anika Noni Rose.
Oh.
And I complimented her in that regard, and then she had questions, and then there was a follow-up. I said, email me if you need more questions. So I love to give information because people just don't know. People just don't know. I remember when I started, my mom was like, get in it. She supported me, but we had to get the right information to be able to move my career and to move into the right direction and know who to work with and who not to work with, because there's a lot of fake people in this town.
Just trust your instincts.
Yeah. So.
Right.
As for me, you can go to wiseowlmediagroup.com, and it's wise like being wisdom, and owl like the bird. And then on my social media, I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook, which is Facebook/wiseowlmediagroup, and then Instagram is wiseowlmg. And also for Twitter, I'm not as active as Twitter as I want to be, but most active on Instagram, so you can find me there. And then my website, you'll find all the different services, and you can actually click to have a free consultation on there. So if you guys just want to have a quick conversation, I do 15-minute consultations for free. So if you're just looking for a little guidance, we do that as well. And of course, me and Belle partner up with a lot of stuff. So if you guys ever want to work with both of us together, we are a great team, and we just
we are a great team.
Yeah, we are.
I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. It's all about collaborating.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
we're here to grow and build our clients, and that's the thing too. Is I keep my roster pretty small, but the thing about it is I love to give information. I am an open book because we're in a world where we need to collaborate, and women need to collaborate, and we need to share each other's information. Just know that that's going to help us grow. So I'm all for that. So if you guys ever want to come on and do a free consultation, go on there. wiseowlmg.com.
I know. I feel like I manage a few, but I can consult with many.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That is so beautiful. And you guys, you can always connect on guitargoddess.com. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. Every week we have amazing things happening. We have free giveaways. We have all sorts of fun things. Woo-hoo! And then in the forum, there's all kinds of goodies.
Oh my God,
back
so
there.
much happening with Guitar Goddess. I'm so excited.
And we're going to be relaunching next month is our 8th year anniversary, guys. So there's going to be a lot happening in the month of November. So make sure if you haven't signed up to the newsletter that you visit guitargoddess.com, sign up. And also if you want to connect with us on social, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, all at Guitar Goddess Co. And before we leave, I just want to thank our sponsor. Our sponsor for today is the 40-Day Book Challenge. If writing a book is on your bucket list, make sure you visit 40daybookchallenge.com. And until next week, guys, keep rocking. And we're out.
You're listening to Guitar Goddess Radio with Ezina, only on LA Talk Radio.